Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought pets.
That is crazy. But you guys remember my neighbor who screamed and y'all thought it was night terrors, but then turns out that it wasn't night terrors and they were just screaming for no reason from the hours of 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And we decided to call the cops. The cops can't do anything. We decided to ask them if they can do a wellness check. They couldn't go in there. They couldn't check if he was killing somebody or he was just losing it or it was just like a mental health case. I've called the cops like maybe about 6 times. The neighbors have called the cops maybe more than that, only for them to do nothing. So one day he just decided to lose it completely and runs out of his apartment and just starts running up and down the hall, banging on people's doors, and particularly mine. And he says, "Why won't you die?" And I was just terrified out of my mind because I was the only one here and I started crying. But then I also called the police. Called the leasing office like 3 times. They did not answer. And then they finally say, "Hey, guess what? Yesterday was their last day to reply, and everything that we've sent them, including emails, reports, whatever, if they don't reply, I don't know, they're going to take measures." I don't know if they took the measure, so I decided to leave because you guys told me to leave. But then you guys started attacking me that I left and I couldn't update you on the neighbor anymore, even though you guys told me to get out of the situation. But then guess what? Anyways, before I left, I took security measures. You know, we got a Ring camera to document everything, which we found nothing. We got some extra locks. Fast forward to me going to California. My roommate texts me that he's screaming again. They gave her a direct phone number to the cop that lives here so that whenever the screaming happens, she can call him and then he can get here as soon as possible because apparently all the information and all the evidence we acquired is not liable because his face was never in it. So if the cop was able to catch him during the screaming, guess what? They could have done something about it, but the cop never showed up. While she goes and investigates, she finds out more tea from other neighbors who lived here previously before we moved in. Lord, when I tell you, the neighbor next to our neighbor that's been screaming has been throwing swingers parties and inviting our neighbors. So on top of the screaming, the same apartment that the people were throwing sex parties in was busted for a crime. And I'm fully convinced the cops are involved. Let me not say that. I cannot tell you the crime because it will literally expose my address. All you have to do is put it on Google and you will see it. So now we're confused and we're like, is the screaming? Ain't no way, because I hear it next to my wall. Because how loud do you have to be? How loud do you have to be for the second floor to hear you and we're all the way at the top? I'm just appalled by all this information and I'm like, so are we gonna pinpoint where the screaming is coming from? Is the cops gonna help us? No. 2 days before I get back, my roommate says, I have not seen our neighbor. I have not heard him this whole entire week. Girl, I don't know if he's dead or alive. And I'm just like, what makes you think that? His trash can hasn't been moved, right? Nothing, not even one peep of a sound coming from that apartment. So now I'm like, call the leasing office and check. She checks the Ring camera and then the people next to the neighbor that's screaming are moving in. And we're like, okay, so that apartment where they were holding swingers parties previously, it's truly vacant. Somebody did get evicted and now there's new neighbors moving in. So definitely the screaming cannot be coming from that apartment in particular. We finally dialed it down that it is my neighbor who's next to us that was screaming. I'm checking the Ring camera today because I just arrived. And the day that my roommate said their trash can was not moved, 2 people showed up in dark outfits. And I'm like, that's suspicious. That's weird. They knock on his door. He doesn't answer the door. And they stood there for a good minute too, like almost 20 minutes. No answer. The next time I see it's like a moving cart, it was just like sitting in front of his door, but a Ring camera, I don't think it picked up things moving in and out of his apartment. So we don't know if he's dead or alive, or he's in there, or he's gone, or yeah, that's the update on my neighbor. And if you are so confused, there's a whole series. I'll put this in the playlist for my neighbor screaming. We tried getting out of the lease like y'all suggested. They were going to charge us over $3,000 to get out of our lease and we haven't even lived here for 3 months. I was cooking. My apologies for the stain. But yeah, that's the update on the neighbor.